Madam President, as we begin a new Congress, it's always an exciting time. A lot of families and friends here, and our members, our colleagues who were sworn in earlier today. And it represents a new beginning, obviously a time when there is a hope and an optimism that we can come together and do some good things for the people that we represent in our respective states and for our country. And that's certainly the way that we approach this new session of the Congress here. There are lots of things I think that we can do. We can find to work together on, find some common ground. But obviously we have to deal with the issues of last year's business before we can start this New Year's business. And last year's business is incomplete because we are almost 2 weeks now into a partial government shutdown because Democrats don't want to fund increased security for the border. Border security is a national security requirement, and every member of Congress, Democrat or Republican, should take seriously our responsibility to protect our nation by ensuring that our borders are secure. At one time, Madam President, Democrats understood that. In 2006, the Democrat leader and the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee voted for legislation to authorize a border fence. They were joined in that vote by then-Senators Biden, Clinton, and Obama. In 2013, every Senate Democrat supported legislation requiring the completion of a 700-mile fence along our southern border. This legislation would have provided $46 billion for border security and $8 billion specifically for the wall. Nearly every Senate Democrat supported $25 billion in border security funding just last February, as recently as less than a year ago. And yet today, Democrats would rather keep part of the government shut down than provide the money that we need to secure our borders. And so the question, Madam President, is what's changed? Our national security situation certainly hasn't changed. Our borders are not sufficiently secure, and as we have seen, they are a target for illegal entry. Over the past year, illegal border crossing apprehensions have shot up by more than 30%. The holes in our border security leave us susceptible to illegal entry by gang members, human traffickers, drug dealers, terrorists, and weapons traffickers. The Democrats are refusing to budge on sorely needed border security funding. Why? I think that's a fair question. Well, because I think Democrats are reluctant to oppose the far left wing of their party, which increasingly seems to be advancing this preposterous notion that we really don't need to secure our borders at all. Well, Madam President, every nation has to secure its borders. A country without borders, Madam President, really isn't a country. Preventing dangerous individuals and goods from entering is an essential part of every country's security. And as my Democrat colleagues have proved in the past, they know this, which is why they voted that way in previous sessions of Congress as recently as last year. Well, Madam President, I hope they'll think better of this government shutdown and decide that their national security obligations are more important than catering to the far left wing of their party. It's time to fund our border security, Madam President, and to end this shutdown. It simply requires sides to come together and to find that common ground and to do what is in our country's best interests and the best interests of the American people, and that is to make sure that our country has a secure border and that we discourage people from coming here illegally and encourage them to come through legal means. Madam President, I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago in my state of South Dakota to welcome into our state and into our country 99 new citizens from 33 countries around the world. They came here the legal way. They went through the process and followed our rules, followed our laws. That's what we want to encourage more of. What we don't need more of are people coming into this country illegally and presenting the types of threats that I mentioned earlier anytime you have that kind of that many people in a mass way migrating across your border. And so, Madam President, I hope and I sincerely believe that as a Congress, as a Senate, working with this President who has made this a big priority for his administration, and it's an important priority for our country and a requirement and an obligation that I think we all have as United States Senators, first and foremost, to protect our country and to protect the American people. If you don't get that right, the rest really pretty much is conversation. So, Madam President, I hope that the Democrats will come to the conclusion that their statements in the past, their votes in the past in support of border security are the right way to proceed, and to continue on that tradition that we've had in the country in the past, where on these important issues both sides come together and work to find common ground. Madam President, I yield the floor.